In this video, we will create a questionnaire using CASIC Builder software. We will use several question styles, illustrate important software features, create a specification report or codebook, and then demonstrate our questionnaire. On CASIC Builder's Instruments page, we click the New Instrument button. On the Create a New Instrument page, we give our instrument a name. We also name the response table that will store the responses to the questions. We declare instrument's properties and give it a graphic style. Clicking Save returned us to the Instruments page. We have our new instrument named Example 1. We'll go ahead and create some questions for it. I'll be flipping back and forth between Microsoft Word, where we have our text, and CASIC Builder, where we're going to create our questionnaire. On the Create a New Question page, we select the style of question. In this case, it will be a text entry question. We paste the question's description, the question text. We give the question a name. Then for a text entry type question, we have to say how many rows in the response text box. We're going to use just one row here. And then where will we store it? We're going to create a column in our database in the response table. We're going to call it child name. This is the name of a child. Saving the question brought us back to the Instruments page. There's a new revision number automatically assigned. We see our question in the table of questions that was created. I'll flip back to Word here to get our next question, which is a multiple choice, where we are going to enter the child's gender. We select a multiple choice question style, and we enter again the description, the question name, and the question text. I scroll down the page so I can enter the response choices. In this case, the first choice will be coded as 1, the second is 2. The software refers to this as standard coding. And our final task on this question is to define the name of the column that will be used to store the response. I click the autofill button to reuse the page name. The next page will not be a question. It will be a calculation or scoring page. We've asked the gender of the child. Now we will use a scoring page to create variables to store gender-specific pronouns and variables. These will be used in later questions. We select the scoring page style from our Create Question screen. There are 3 parts to creating a scoring page. In Part 1, we enter the page name and description. In Part 2, we create database columns to store the result of our calculations. We define the SQL data type and name of each column. The columns are created in the instrument's response table. In this case, we'll be creating 2 columns. We can create more if needed. In the third part, we create calculation expressions. The help link in the upper right of the screen describes the built-in functions and provides a tutorial. People who have used spreadsheet functions will note similarities with CASIC Builder's functions. We will illustrate the if function here. The result of the function is assigned to a variable, which may be a database column. The if function has a test expression, and a value that is assigned is if the test expression is true, and another value that is assigned if the test expression is false. Functions can be nested to create complex logic if needed. We test the expression. It's successful, so we can finish, and we've created our scoring page. The next question is to enter the birth date of the child. For this questionnaire, we wish to enforce that the date entered is for a child less than 2 years old. We select the date entry style question and click the Create Page link. The question text includes a variable for the child's name. The response to the child name question is displayed in the text of this question. As with prior questions, we paste the description and enter the page name. To enforce that the age is less than 2 years, we use relative date commands for date validation. 2 years ago is minus 730 days relative to today. If the questionnaire is used tomorrow, this validation calculation will be relative to tomorrow. For a maximum date, we will permit a newborn, a child born today. The relative date is 0. We will store the date response in a column named Q4, which is the name of this question. We turn on Data Merge since we have a variable in our question text and click Save. For the fifth question, we have another multiple choice. This time, we want to define the coding for each response, as the coding is not strictly sequential. By now, you know the drill. We paste the question text, enter the question name, and paste the description. We scroll down and turn on Data Merge to accommodate the variable used in the text. We scroll down further to enter the multiple choices. This time we choose Custom Scoring, which permits us to define the coding for each response choice. As with prior questions, we wish to have the database column that will hold the response use the same name as the question name, in this case Q5, so we click the Autofill button to do so. Our sixth question requires numeric entry. We also want to create a button labeled Refused in the event the study subject refuses to answer the question. We paste the question and the description. We enter the page name. Then once again we will scroll down and turn on Merge. The numeric entry question style allows text next to the entry box, which we will also copy and paste. We click the checkbox to create Don't Know and/or Refused buttons for the question. By default, both buttons are included. We only want the Refused button, so we will edit the default entries so we have only one button. We assign a code value for a refused response and enter a column name that will store a refused response. We click Autofill to use our page name, Q6, as the column name for the numeric response. Oops, I forgot to enter the column name for the refused button response. Let's fix that. There, all better. For the seventh question, we have another multiple choice. Two things are notable with this question. The question text includes HTML markup. In this case, the first paragraph is bolded using the HTML bold command. We can insert HTML commands for italics, underscore, bulleted text, images, and more. The question choices in question 7 are the same as question 5. Note that question 7 has a skip instruction associated with the no response to the question. Please bear with me as I enter the page name, paste in the page description, and click on Data Merge. We scroll down and see the response set from the prior question of this style. We click the Select checkbox to reuse this response set. We need to skip to question 10 if a no response is given. This is done by entering the target page name in the Skip to Page box. CASIC Builder can also create more complex skip instructions. These are not illustrated in this video. We click on Autofill to create the response column. Question 10, which we will name Q10, has not yet been created. CASIC Builder provides a table of skip instructions that reference pages not yet created. Question 8 is similar to a prior question, so its creation is omitted from the video. Question 9 is a multiple choice question that allows more than one selection. For the Select Many question style, we need a response column for each response choice. The columns will contain 1 for responses selected and 0 for responses not selected. There is a follow-up question style not illustrated in this video. If a subject chooses, say, 3 out of a dozen possible choices, the follow-up style would ask her to select just one of those 3. Here we see the boxes to enter response choices and the database column names associated with those choices. We will copy and paste the first choice, then fast forward to see the completed entries. It is often the case that a multiple choice question should allow for an other choice that may be entered in a text box. We will create an other text entry box for this question. After saving this page, we have only to create the 10th and final question plus the required finish page, and we are done with this questionnaire. Q10, our final question and skip target, is a grid-style question. Response choices are displayed in column headers and are the same for each question. There is 1 question per row. The study subject makes selections by checking boxes in the grid. The grid-style question allows entry of introductory paragraphs that will appear above the grid. Perhaps this is a good time to note that CASIC Builder allows headers and/or footers to appear on all pages. We will copy and paste 1 introductory paragraph, then move forward to show the completed copying. As with other multiple choice question styles, we can use custom scoring to define the coding value for each response choice. Here we see the boxes to enter response choices and their corresponding code values. We will copy and paste the first choice, then move forward to show the completed entries. Now that we have completed entry of the response choices, which will appear in column headers, it's time to enter the questions. 1 question will appear per row. We enter the text of the question and a data column for the response. This is repeated for each row. Up to 8 questions may be included on a page. Once we save this question, named Q10, the warning message about a missing skip target page is gone. This is the desired result, as Q10 is the target page for our skip. A finish page is required to end the instrument. We can accept all defaults, click Save, and we are done with this instrument. In Part 2, we will look at the specification report and put this instrument to use.